This is Jagraj Singh, the most famous Sikh leader in Britain.
To the youth, get involved in the revolution of Guru Nanak Dev Ji Maharaj.
And to 500,000 British Sikhs, a pioneer and inspiration.
I am here to let people know about the truth of Sikhi, because the truth of Sikhi is not heard out there.
Jagraj passed away in 2017. In his short life, he transformed from party animal to army officer to religious preacher. He rose to fame on YouTube, bringing a generation of Sikhs back to the faith. But to me, he's my younger brother. I'm Sunny Hundal, a campaigning journalist. I also report on all forms of extremism. In recent years, there have been clashes between Sikhs over interfaith weddings at Sikh temples.
Interfaith marriages, it's a mess.
Some young Sikhs want to protect what they see as the purity of the faith.
Disturbing the peace, doing something which harasses people. That's not the Sikhi way.
My brother and I took very different positions on these issues, and it tore us apart.
People are commentating and they have no clue what they're commentating about. Even my own brother himself.
Now, I want to understand if my views and those of my brother reflect wider divisions in our community, and what that clash tells us about modern Britain.
Ultimately, Britain doesn't have space for us. That's how I feel.
It's been 2 years since my brother passed away. My mom and I have come to a local temple or Gurdwara in West London for a memorial service to celebrate his life.
That's okay, you doing? Yeah, good to see you. Do you need some help?
No.
All right.
Mom is still coming to terms with our loss. She follows the faith, and being here with the community is a huge comfort. Although for me, it's a rare experience.
I'm not a person who likes to go to the Gurdwara, you know, on a regular basis, definitely. I don't pray, I'm not a religious person. But I came here because I wanted to pay respects to him. And, you know, this was where he started preaching. This is where his home was, in a way.
As brothers, we could not have been more different. He was deeply religious, and so famous there are 8 days of prayer in his honor. Young Sikhs had never seen anything like him. He spoke to them in a language they could understand and inspired them in a way no one else had.
Here is a guy who had a huge impact on a very important part of this country, seeing that there are all these people out there who still love him, who still treasure his memory. That legacy is important.
For Mom, it's something she's clung on to since his death.
Keeping his legacy alive, not just for me, it's for all the youngsters, what he's teaching and
What he's done.
yeah, what he's done, so it carries on. I remember him each day, but your child, you never ever not remember him.
I can see how much love the community has for Jagraj, some of which is tough for me to read. I still miss him, and in the time before he got ill, we were barely on speaking terms. Jagraj and I were born in London, but lived in India for a few years. We returned to the UK aged 11 and 13. We had always been close. He was this larger-than-life character I adored. Together we grew up westernized. But in our early 20s, our lives took very different paths. Jagraj found faith whilst I became a liberal journalist. We started clashing quite publicly. I'm still unpopular with some Sikhs who say I'm interfering in the faith. Soon after arriving at the memorial, it was clear my presence had ruffled feathers.
How come you're here, man?
I know these issues.
Really? Oh, gosh.
Listen, calm down for a second.
I'm calm, I'm perfectly calm.
Yes. I don't mind, get lost.
A lot of the friends, yeah? Bro, get
Why
that
not?
camera out of my face.
These guys are part of a young Sikh activist group who I've clashed with online.
What people think is that I am trying to give Sikhs a bad name, and that is completely, not my point. I'm a Sikh person, and obviously I want to talk about all the great things within the community, but at the same time, we have issues, and let's talk about them openly, right? If we don't talk about them openly, then these things are going to be suppressed.
In 2015, I broke a story that brought one of these issues to a head. One that fractured mine and my brother's relationship and divided opinion among Sikhs. Marriages between Sikhs and non-Sikhs were being disrupted at gurdwaras all over the country.
Would you marry your daughter to a Muslim guy?
गोरा हिंदू जो होवे सिख नहीं है नीगे गोरा हिंदू हो रहा है ना मैक्स हो रहा है ना मैक्स नहीं हो सकता.
And in 2016, things escalated.
Interfaith marriages, mate. Let me tell you, allowing marriages.
Over 50 young Sikhs stormed this gurdwara in Leamington Spa. They were trying to stop a wedding taking place between a Sikh bride and a Hindu groom. They blocked the entrance and upset the wedding guests inside. There was a standoff with armed police who locked down the gurdwara.
Leamington is finished. Leamington is full on finished.
I broke the story the moment that it affected my mum, actually, because she was at the Gurdwara when a disruption happened of a wedding, and she wanted to calm things down, but instead she got threatened herself. And so I felt like, okay, now is the time to talk about this openly because it is hurting people.
My articles caused a media storm, and mainstream press started covering the story. At the heart of the issue is the Anand Karaj, the sacred Sikh wedding ceremony. This was my brother's position. He didn't support the disruptions, but he defended the principle.
The Anand Karaj is a ceremony between two Sikhs and the Guru. Two Sikhs committing to the Guru together. That is what the Anand Karaj is. You can't have somebody who's not a Sikh doing that. Why is that person bowing down to something that they don't accept? Doesn't make any sense. A Sikh can have an interfaith marriage, but by UK law. You can't have an interfaith marriage by the Gurdwara.
Jagraj was unhappy with what I had written.
People are commentating and they have no clue what they're commentating about. Even my own brother himself, totally unread, totally unaware of what's going on with Sikhi, talking about stuff they know nothing about. They're educated idiots.
He felt, as a non-practicing Sikh, I had no right to comment.
But for me, this wasn't about the faith. This was about the community and whether we invite people into the community or turn them away, right? And so I knew that he didn't like the disruptions, but he wouldn't criticize them. I was angry, but it was also painful, because he was my brother. It was the moment that we stopped speaking.
I know these wedding disruptions were caused by a tiny minority of young Sikhs, but they had a big impact. I really want to understand what is driving their behavior. I've tracked down one of the activists who was part of the Leamington incident.
A little bit worried. I don't know if these people are going to hate me or not, if they know me or not, but it's certainly true that, a lot of people who disrupted these weddings were not, fans of mine. So let's see what happens.
He's agreed to talk to me, but is not willing to show his face. And he's brought a friend along.
Kida?
Goodbye.
You right? Sasika?
All right.
How you doing?
Yeah, good.
Good, thanks. Have a seat.
Yes.
You were at the Leamington Gurdwara a few years back.
Yeah, yeah.
Why did you want to stop it?
Because it's not our culture. Our culture, they don't give them permission to marry any other culture.
Huh.
Not in a Sikh temple Gurdwara.
Okay.
Sikh temple, no allowed these things.
Although he wasn't born and raised here, like most of the group, he shares a belief that this is their religious duty.
We was in Leicester as well. The same happened.
Oh, you were also involved in another disruption in Leicester?
Leicester, there.
And what happened there?
That there's one Gora, there's an English guy. He want to marry with the Sikh woman.
Huh.
And he don't know any culture. The English people came in the Gurdwara and doing like English wedding things. Yeah.
You're worried that Sikhs are going to become like white mainstream culture?
Yeah, we worry about this, but that's why we're gonna stop.
If in the future you have a daughter or a son and they want to marry someone who is non-Sikh, would you stop them?
Yeah, obviously we're gonna stop them because we're gonna teach them we don't want to marry in other religions.
Huh.
So yeah, we're gonna obviously stop them.
Those who share these views feel this is their way of protecting the community, like a badge of honor. Interfaith marriages are still taking place, but they have been forced underground. There is an uneasy truce in the community, but I worry this is a slippery slope. These disruptions have given them the confidence to stop other events. In April every year, hundreds of thousands of Sikhs hit the streets of Britain to celebrate one of the biggest moments in the Sikh calendar, Vaisakhi. In 2019 in the West Midlands, some Sikhs wanted to integrate other faiths into the festivities.
A group of us been quite concerned about some of the kind of tension being created between Sikhs and Muslims. And we thought, wouldn't it be great if we could celebrate Vaisakhi in a mosque and then do an iftar meal over Ramadan in a Gurdwara?
But some young Sikhs had other ideas. Gurinder Singh from anti-racist group Hope Not Hate was targeted when they got wind of his plans.
Suddenly it appears on social media, a lot of people objecting to how can you have us celebrate Vaisakhi in a mosque. In the evening, we get a number of people turn up at my house.
So people turned up outside your house?
Yeah. I had one neighbour text me saying there's hundreds of people outside, what's going on, are you okay?
Were there any threats?
There was really loud banging on the doors, banging on the windows. They were speaking through the letterbox, shouting through the letterbox, we know you're in there, we just want to talk to you.
And your family were all at home. They must have been terrified.
Everybody was scared.
So who were these people?
Predominantly young people. All of them were Sikhs. The ones I saw were all men.
Did you call the police?
Didn't call the police because the way these groups operate is that they would have been filming it, live streaming it, and saying part of their regular narrative is Gurinder called West Midland Police and we've run them off.
So you didn't want to give them the satisfaction of having creating a narrative that would suit them?
And that's what they were looking for.
Gurinder was forced to cancel the event. Whilst the young Sikh activist group posted online about their success. Some people clearly worry the faith is being diluted. Why do they feel that way? And what does this mean for the future of multicultural Britain? I think the answers may lie in my family story.
So now we're going to Mum's to try and find out more about Jagraj, find out, him growing up, why we went in separate ways, why we grew up so differently.
Our parents' generation came to Britain from India as part of a wave in the 1950s and 60s. Religion was an inherent part of who they were. But for those of us born and bred in Britain, we needed new identities. So we created a kind of a fusion British-Asian culture with our own music, nightlife, and even slang. This reflected us more than mainstream culture. And writing about it launched my career in journalism. But Jagraj never did anything by halves and swung from one extreme to the other.
When he was growing up, you know, he knew the latest music, he knew what was going on. He was savvy, right? And I wasn't. He was going off the rails a little bit. He was drinking all the time, partying, going out with friends, even doing drugs. And then the switch came. What I really want to know is, at what point did he become religious? Like, what drove him to sort of say, you know, I want something different?
Hi, son. How are you? Yeah. Oh, you. How was your journey?
Yeah, it was all right. It was
yeah,
good.
yeah. Oh, nice to see you.
You too.
Come on, you gonna come in the kitchen?
Yeah.
We owe a lot to Mum. She brought us up in a council house while working. It couldn't have been easy with two argumentative boys.
Every time you told him not to do a certain thing, and he would do it. That's what he was like.
And he used to go out quite a lot, right? He, as a teenager,
he liked his music. He wanted to go out. He wanted to be totally like a British children. You became a little bit more responsible about 16, but I still had to control him.
He wanted that freedom.
Yeah, but I wasn't going to let you do that. My parents didn't pay attention to my studies. So my only thing was you people doing something better than what I have done.
Yeah.
I mean, his brain was like a computer.
Yeah.
So I just wanted him to do well, and he wanted to do it because there was always competition between you and him.
Yeah.
So he said, well, you've gone to Hundal, I'm going to Oxford. He always wanted to do better than one up on you.
My brother went to Oxford to study philosophy, politics, and economics. But things didn't go to plan.
He wasn't doing at university as well as he thought.
I think he found it hard to settle in. You know, one of my biggest fear was that I've got him there, but now how do I keep him there studying?
Yeah.
And, you know, Sandeep, I have never prayed for you as much as I have prayed for him. Honestly, I used to just put my hand there to Guruji, please guide him, look after him. That was it.
He was partying a bit too hard and falling behind on his studies.
He was just sort of not looking very happy, stressed. So I took him to Gurdwara, and as we entered, they were asking for people who wanted to join the Sikh camp. And I said, you might learn about who we are, you know, because he was so westernized.
So you see, sort of in a way, you wanted him to become more religious, to become a Sikh.
I wanted him to learn about who we are, and the Sikh camp was the right place.
So what happened when he came back from the Sikh camp?
Well, he came back completely changed. It was like seeing a different person altogether. And he said, I want to become a Sikh.
My brother went to this religious camp, a lost party boy, and came back a devout Sikh.
I was like an average Punjabi lad, 21 years old, one hour, drinking, going out clubbing, hip-hop society president, that kind of thing. And then I went to this place, a camp, a Sikh camp, and it scared me actually. What happened to me then, it was a bit scary, unexpected, outside the five senses. And I was like, whoa, stay away from this. But then I thought to myself, I've done everything else in life, and there's still something missing.
I was so shocked when it happened. How did Sikh camp transform Jagraj's life so dramatically? Sikh camps run right across the UK. I'm heading to one in a remote Welsh hillside that began in 1990. These are places young Sikhs come to immerse themselves in the faith. And this is the first time they've allowed TV cameras inside here. This place is called Khalsa Camp. Khalsa refers to an ancient order of initiated Sikhs created to protect all people. Justice is one of Sikhism's core values, along with equality, charity, and meditation. Khalsa Sikhs are required to carry the sword or kirpan at all times. Hundreds of young people come here for an entire week. There are discussions on everything from sex before marriage and domestic violence to gender studies and Sikh history. And the schedule just keeps going.
Okay, it's 4 o'clock in the morning, and we have to go for the main devotional prayers now. Oh, it's cold.
I love the idea that my brother, aged 21, rolled out of bed for this.
Some of them will have come here at 2 o'clock in the morning, so we're late. Can you imagine? ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਖਾਲਸਾ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਫਤਿਹ ਠੀਕ ਹੈ ਜੀ ਹਾਂਜੀ
This is a form of meditation known as Simran. It can run for hours. I have to admit, I used to hate praying. But then again, I've never been somewhere like this. This kind of group prayer feels powerful. Jagraj always threw himself into anything he did, so I can really imagine he embraced this. After a couple of hours of extra sleep and some breakfast, I want to speak to some young people who have come here to learn more about their faith. 19-year-olds Simran and Muskan are first-timers at the camp. Prableen has been 11 times.
Tell me, what's your favorite part of the camp?
The lectures. It gives you so much, it gives you so much knowledge about things that you didn't even know. The things that you did know a little bit about, but not that much, so they go proper deeply into that.
The thing that I really like is in the evening, we just get together and do Rera Sahib. There's the evening prayer. Your mind should be blank. Your concentration should be just on Guru Sahib. It just releases vibes that surrounds you. It makes you, I can't even describe what makes you feel, but it's something amazing, whatever you feel.
When you go back, life isn't like this. It's a very special bubble where you can have freedom and practice and meditate. Normally, when you're back home, you don't get this opportunity because you've got work or school, and here you've got 5-6 days where you can just focus on you and your relationship with God and just discover the spirit within.
Sikhism is a far more spiritual religion or a way of life than to be honest, that I knew. They really changed my perception and my thinking around the religion I was born into, to be honest. They spend a lot of time over here singing and trying to bring some spiritual nourishment to people. And you don't get that, in fact, in most gurdwaras or in debates around Sikhism. They just focus on what you're allowed to do and what you're not allowed to do as Sikhs, rather than saying, how can you become a better person?
My brother found something here that had been missing in his life. But more than faith, I think he found a sense of identity and belonging.
When Jagraj left his Sikh camp 21 years ago, he came out a completely changed man. And I can see why, because there's a lot of people like that who talked to me and said the same thing happened to them. They came here, they saw something amazing, and they left with a completely different sense of looking at the world. And I can totally see it.
This was the start of a personal reinvention. Jagraj became an initiated Sikh, finished his degree, and then, to my surprise, joined the British Army. I've never understood why, but I wonder if my dad might be able to help. He lives in America, so I've arranged a video call.
Hi, Dad. How you doing?
Hi, Sunny. How are you doing, beta?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks. So I just wanted to call to ask you a couple of questions about Jagraj.
Yeah, okay. Go ahead.
The first thing was, look, why do you think he joined the army?
I think, as you know, I was in the army, in Indian Army, and I think he wanted to follow my footsteps. And also, I think amongst the Sikh culture, joining the army is considered to be a very good profession. And I think these two things kind of, not forced him, but kind of motivated him to join the army.
Okay. And so then why do you think he left?
In my view, one of the reasons was that the army wanted him to trim his beard in order for him to get his deployment in the army, in the front. And he didn't want to trim his beard, so he got into recruitment, and he wasn't happy about it. And I think over a period of time, he got kind of disheartened, dejected, and finally he left the army.
Jagraj also wanted to revive the Sikh Army Regiment, but the rules were too constricting. His disappointment must have made him connect even more strongly to his faith, and it wasn't long before he found his true calling and the perfect platform to spread his message.
If you've got a YouTube channel, go on YouTube, watch the videos, Basics of Sikhi. Very simple YouTube channel. Everything's in English. If you can't understand English, there's videos in Punjabi. If you don't understand Punjabi, we got it in Hindi. If you haven't got Hindi, we got them in French, German, Chinese, Japanese, Italian, French, Spanish.
It wasn't long before his channel, Basics of Sikhi, started gaining thousands of followers.
This, at the moment, your generation, is one of the best times to be a Sikh, because now you can bring back authentic Sikhi to the front. Sikhi is trying to do something. It's here for a purpose, right? And the purpose is to change the world, to make it a better place, to make sure no one goes without food, to make sure no one goes without education.
Jagraj's devout faith did not conflict with his sense of belonging in modern Britain. But not all Sikhs feel that way. I tracked down the person who was unhappy to see me at my brother's memorial.
Bro, get the camera out of my face.
His name is Singh. Like me, he grew up here and then went on to found a leading Sikh organization, the National Sikh Youth Federation, a collection of Sikh activists, artists, and academics who aim to educate and inspire young British Sikhs.
Do you think that Sikhs in Britain are going through an identity crisis?
I don't think the crisis is an identity crisis. I think the crisis is one of displacement. It's one of trying to find belonging in a place that hasn't necessarily been the most welcoming.
Do you see Britain as home?
I find it really difficult to see Britain as home. It's a source of tension for me.
But there are lots of Sikhs who happily call themselves British Sikhs,
100%,
right?
yeah,
who
yeah.
see this country as home.
Yeah. And then there are Sikhs that perhaps necessarily don't see Britain as home. Because for me, Britishness or this idea of British values has always been about whiteness, and I can never change the colour of my skin. Not that I'd want to, but I have to look at the context of our arrival, right? For most of our history, Britishness has been colonial violence, dispossession, occupation, and the spectacular violence has been, replaced with more subtle forms of violence, like telling us to go home. Ultimately, Britain doesn't have space for us. That's how I feel.
Because Shamsher and some Sikhs like him find it difficult to call Britain home, they want a separate nation run on Sikh values. They call it Khalistan.
So Khalistan is the Sikh liberation movement. It's about...
You've got T-shirts saying Khalistan Zindabad.
Yeah. So Khalistan, Khalistan Zindabad is like Viva la Khalistan, like long live Khalistan. So Khalistan is a struggle for Sikh freedom. It's a struggle for Sikh sovereignty.
Shamsher questions what it means to be Sikh and British, and that extends to Sikh involvement with British institutions.
What do you say to Sikhs who do join the army or join the police or become MPs?
I find it difficult to understand how Sikhs join structures that have been inherently racist and oppressive. It's tied to this larger question of representation. Joining those spaces and then claiming that this is an example of successful integration, I think it serves a larger agenda, which is to define what a good Sikh is and who gets to represent us and how.
I respect Shamsher's opinions, but I don't share his views. I want to shape Britain's future by being part of it, not withdrawing from it. And I think most British Sikhs feel that way. In fact, there are hundreds of Sikh police officers working right across Britain. And now, the police themselves are being targeted by protesters.
No justice, no peace. Ban the police. No justice, no peace. Ban the police. No justice, no peace.
I'm meeting one of the most senior Sikh police officers in Britain, Sergeant Harvey Singh from West Midlands Police.
Do you feel any contradiction between being British and being Sikh?
I know what being a Sikh is, and I live in Britain. I pay my taxes in Britain. My wife was born in Britain, my kids were educated here, I was educated here, my life is in Britain, so technically, yes, I am British, and I happen to be a Sikh, so I am British Sikh. It's very humbling, and I'm very proud and very privileged that the community have someone to go to, and I will be sensitive to their cultural needs. But there's a conversation taking place in the community to say that, you know, being a Sikh and being a police officer aren't compatible.
Yeah.
I mean, I disagree with that totally.
Yeah.
And I think being a police officer, you have to be honest. Sikhi, you know, espouses honesty, throughout its history. You know, you have to earn an honest living, work hard. Well, that's what policing does. You know, it gives you a sense of integrity, and it just fits everything that I understand Sikhi to be.
But some think Sikhs shouldn't cooperate with the police, and recently disrupted a recruitment drive that Harvey was running.
I'm telling you, West Midlands Police are banned from Sikh spaces. Yeah? You know this.
I wondered about the interfaith protests, the disruption of the Vaisakhi event, and now this.
Do you think this form of activism is on the increase?
Reported to the police, as of late, yes, there has been. The Sikh community is the first to protest about something is not right, but it's got into a different realm now, and these are relatively uncharted waters for the Sikh community, and there's a new mindset that's coming to this protest. When people start going into that realm of criminality, disturbing the peace, doing something which harasses people, that's not the Sikh way.
Harvey is one of the most influential and probably one of the most powerful Sikh police officers in this country. And what he was saying was that there was an increase in this sort of thuggery in our community, and that's a problem. And I think that Sikhs in this country should take that seriously, that we have got to drive this stuff out, otherwise it's going to cause a problem further down the line.
So how can we, as a community, tackle these divisions? I think it links back to a question of identity. I'm going to meet Dr. Apinderjit Thakur, a leading expert in British Sikh culture.
Sikh identity has always had multiple layers, even from the time of the gurus. We cannot say there was ever this kind of homogenous, all Sikhs fit one kind of, definition. And today, we've initiated Sikhs. We have Sikhs who keep their hair but are not initiated. We have Sikhs who do cut their hair.
Sikhs don't even have hair.
So there's these whole kind of layers of Sikh identity.
Do you worry that the Sikh identity, the British Sikh identity, will be shaped by people who shout the loudest?
Yes, because it's given rise to this culture of intimidation. We have various youth groups kind of, claiming that they are the ones who will determine what is right and what will wrong, almost kind of like a policing that's going on within the community. And they really do feel that they have now become the custodians of what happens within the wider community here in the UK. What I see is almost this kind of insistence upon becoming very insular, in the sense that Sikhs just mingle with Sikhs.
Dr. Takar knew my brother. How did she compare this to his form of preaching?
I felt that his attraction towards, especially the younger generation, is that he was somebody that they could actually have a debate with. And he had those debates in a very measured, kind of controlled manner. Rather than, approaching somebody saying, you must do this, you mustn't do this. It was very much kind of creating this dialogue, first of all.
From what I've heard, I feel like Sikhs are being pulled in different directions. Now, we're a small community which has been persecuted for centuries. So naturally, some Sikhs feel they need to protect their faith. They feel like it's going to become corrupted in modern multicultural Britain. But they have a right to feel that. But I think we can deal with that through dialogue rather than through intimidation.
Creating a dialogue was something my brother was passionate about.
I am here to let people know about the truth of Sikhi, because the truth of Sikhi is not heard out there.
Rather than handing out rules, he empowered people to use their faith for good.
If you give everybody in the world freedom and basic needs, you've achieved what Sikhi is trying to get us to do.
But I dismissed his work until he suddenly became ill.
I just want to reassure everybody that we are trying our best to fight the cancer. A lot of people think, and then he'll just go, oh, forget it. But we're trying. I'm really happy that so many people are here. What someone's got to do to get famous, huh? And I feel very blessed in my life. I've got a very great family. And there's really nothing more I could ask for.
In 2017, just months after this video was shared around the world, Jagraj passed away, aged 38. Making this film, I've come to realize I didn't know my brother as well as I thought. It's time I faced up to what Jagraj thought of me. There's one person who lived through our feud.
Hi. Hey, Sukhmani, how are you doing? All right. Good to see you.
Yeah, come in.
His widow, Sukhmani.
Thanks.
So, sit down. I've got some photos. Don't know if you've seen them before, but...
I don't think I have, actually.
We can have
These photos from the wedding.
It was December. And
was it freezing?
It was freezing, absolutely freezing. And I had to wear, like, all this... it was... And it's like, act naturally, please.
Romance in Heston Park.
Romance in Heston Park in December.
Yeah.
Sukhmani was born in Russia and, like my brother, found her faith as a young adult.
Jagraj was always like a super positive person and always had this vision of super bright future, and he always had these ideas of how to do things. Maybe sometimes they're a bit crazy.
I know that you never really got into the politics. You never really wanted to get into the argument. And we got on well, even though I was fighting with my brother.
Yeah, I was the bridge.
Yeah, the bridge between us.
Tell Sonny this.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
But what did he say to you about, say, the disagreements that we had? Like, for example, probably the one over interfaith marriages was probably the worst.
I don't know how to put it nicely. I don't know if there's a way of putting it nicely. But I think you really offended him all the time because you simply did not respect his life, his whole life, and telling a person to their face in front of their family that all your life is about bullshit is extremely rude. And I mean, that's probably the result of it was that you guys didn't speak at all for years. Really, everything in his life was about Sikhi. For you, it was more like an intellectual exercise, but for him, it was his life.
Yeah, I see that. I mean, I think it's true that I didn't respect as much what he was trying to do or what he had been doing until afterwards, when I really
You know, I started going through his work, speaking to people, and knowing about the impact he had.
All he wanted is people to bring them together rather than pull them apart, further apart. He would want to engage with that 95% that don't even go to Gurdwara, that don't practice it. It's not telling people, you should do this, you should do that. It's telling people, look, this is what we had, the history, and inspire people to follow this, inspire people, open people's eyes.
I understand a strong faith works for some, but for me, it never did.
Sometimes I would watch his videos and I would feel like, oh, it's nice that they have that, but for whatever reason, I could never see the attraction. I could never get into it. He always, I think, felt frustrated that I couldn't see what he was really, what his journey was, or couldn't see like this knowledge and this ideas that he had. I just wouldn't grasp it.
Because it's an experience, it's not a knowledge, you can't read it in a book. Living it and experiencing it in your every moment and actually living by it, you know, that's totally different, that's what Sikhi is.
Sukhmani tells me she couldn't have carried on Jagraj's work without the help of their friends, who she wants me to meet.
Wow, that's some impressive Shastra.
The group are part of Jagraj's charity, which keeps his work and legacy alive. There are two young men that Sukhmani suggests I speak to.
Who? The guy who's sitting there, he's very young as well. These both are 18, 19-year-olds, these two boys.
All right, Abinda.
How are you?
I'm good, man. Come, sit down. Did you get into Sikhi through Jagraj?
I think practically anyone that's in this house right now going to Sikhi through Jagraj Singh. I never physically met Jagraj Singh.
Okay.
But I felt through his videos, he had so much power in his words that I felt like he was always there anyway.
I always used to have like this thing like, why am I going to the Gurdwara? What is the Gurdwara? I just thought one day there must be more than this. And it was in 2012 when I actually went to a katha that Jagraj Singh was doing in Park Avenue. And the first time I sat down, I was like, what is he talking about? And he can actually talk to me in like a language that I understand, because Punjabi wasn't obviously my first language.
I've been on a journey to understand Jagraj Singh, and it's made me rethink my own views. He thought I was bad-mouthing Sikhism, and I thought he was being too purist, and I was wrong to stereotype him. I think our argument reflects the growing pains of a young British community trying to find its feet. What I've learned is that Jagraj inspired many to become better people through their faith rather than forcing his views on others. My greatest regret is that I didn't tell him this when he was alive.